to you, Syria.
Thank you so much, Louise, and welcome everyone to OTF Connects. Thank you for giving of your time to join us tonight, and it's great to see how far across the province we have representation here tonight. It's my pleasure to welcome Shadi, who will be facilitating tonight's webinar on observational assessment with Google Forms. Shadi was part of the Minds on Media team at the OTF Technology Conference last summer. She brings much experience to share with us tonight. Welcome, Shadi. I'll pass the mic over to you.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for giving up your evening to participate in this. I hope it'll be valuable for you, and I hope the goal is that you'll have assessment ready to go for tomorrow. So I'm just going to pop into the introduction and start with introducing myself. I'm Shadi Yazdan. I am a digital literacy resource teacher in York Region District School Board. I have an area of schools that I'm responsible for, about 43 elementary schools. And my job entails in supporting classroom teachers and administrators and students in the integration of digital literacy in the classroom instruction. So this is our second year in York Region being a Google Apps for Education board. I know that there are a number of boards in Ontario that have gone that route, and there are a few that have decided to go the Microsoft route. Everything that we're going to be talking about today in terms of assessment, we are using a tool like Google Forms to create your assessment tool, but I don't want you to feel like this is something you can only do with Google Forms. I've provided a few alternative survey type kind of websites that you can go on and create the same sort of observational assessment. So really I want the focus tonight to really be about that whole assessment piece and not so much about the tool. Even though I will walk you through how to set up your Google Forms for assessment. So tonight we're going to talk about some of the goals of our sessions, why Google Forms, why we're using Google Forms, the tools that you will need, again, as I mentioned, some alternatives, and how you can actually go about creating your assessment. And we're going to do that together. And then I'll provide you with additional resources. In addition, throughout the session, I have auto tweets that are going out as we speak. And if there's anything that you missed, or if there are any resources, I always tweet them out as well. So if you're on Twitter and you like to follow the discussion, the hashtag we're using is the OTF Connects, or you can follow me at Shadi Yazdan. Okay, so let's get the fun started. So getting to know you guys. In the chat box, can you just please let me know what subject and grade you're currently teaching? And if you can also let me know your board, that would be great as well. So I'll give you guys some time to do that in the chat box. Thank you. Really neat seeing the chats coming up. Yeah, we can use this. James just mentioned he's secondary, and that's great because what I'll be talking about applies to K to grade 12. I do also support some secondary schools in our board as well. So I can help you there, James. Not a problem. Okay, thank you, everybody. Okay, I think we have everyone. It's really great to see how we have number of people in primary, junior, subject specific, and also our secondaries and so on. So it's really good, and we have our reading recovery teacher as well. So this is wonderful, really good. You're all going to love this. This is going to help you so much in your role and make it easy. Awesome. Okay, thank you. Now, using the checkbox, the rating, if you can, and I can see some of you are already ahead, if you can indicate how many of you are currently Google Apps for Education users. So thank you so much. Okay, so majority of you are, except one. Okay, that's fine, not a problem. Now, Jenny, do you have a Google Apps? Do you have a Gmail account?
I do have a Google account, and I do use Google at work at school. We're just not actually a Google Apps for Education board, although I'm working on it.
And what do you, are you guys a Microsoft board?
Yes.
Okay. And I think there is a tool in Microsoft. I couldn't access it because we don't have the platform where you can actually do the survey type kind of questions as well, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so this is good. Okay, wonderful. So majority of you are Google Apps users. Okay. Okay. Now, if you are a Google user, Google Apps for Education user, if you can please log into your Google account, that would be great. Thank you. So our goal tonight will be, again, to have the opportunity to create a tool where you can assess your students daily. For those of you that teach a big class, I was always an intermediate teacher, had 32 plus kids in my class. And using this method, I was able to assess every single kid every single day. So it is possible. It makes your life easy. It also allows you to make notes of next steps for students. And by the end of the period, you can see where the next steps, where you need to go the next day for your lesson. So it does help with that. And also it allows you to document everything that you are seeing the kids do with your comments and the next steps. And when it comes time for reporting, it's just a matter of copy-paste the information you have into your report card program, which makes life easier. And also you have your real examples that you can use without having to sit there and think, well, I remember seeing this, I'm not sure exactly what it was, but so this will just really, really help you with that. Okay. Any questions about our goal tonight? Our goals? Okay, good. So why use Google Forms? One of the biggest aspects and the most powerful components of Google Forms is the fact that you are following your board's ICT guidelines. So if you are in a board that is a Google Apps user, then it's just you're following what the standard that the board has set for you and the tool that the board has said that you can use as a teacher. As you know, as teachers, oftentimes it's hard for us to choose the tool that we may want to use that's going to also abide by all the privacy laws and regulations. So you just always want to make sure that you check your board's ICT guideline before you use any of these tools, because at the end of the day, it's very important for you to make sure that you're safe and what you're using is safe and you're not going to get in any trouble. In addition, Google Apps for Education or anything within the Google world really integrates well with Desire to Learn, which is a ministry program that's been offered to Ontario teachers, and it just makes your life easier. If you do use Moodle in your school, again, this will help you because Moodle and Google really talk well together. Best part, it's free. Well, at least for us, it's free. Your board does pay a certain amount of money to Google to be able to become a Google Apps for Education, but it is free for us as teachers. And we, in my board, really love the fact that we can actually use Google Apps for Education with any device, anytime, anywhere. So therefore, it really helps us in terms of that whole equity piece. In York Region, we have schools that are really low in socioeconomics, and we have schools that are very high. This way, using a tool like Google Apps for Education, and all the students can access using whatever tool that they have access to or whatever is available in the class without having to worry about having to purchase an expensive tool. When I say anytime and anywhere, I really truly mean that. I had a case last year in my class, sorry, not last year, the year before that, where one of my students ended up spending most of the school year in the hospital, and she was able to continue with the learning through Google Apps for Education. So it was very, very powerful. And at that time, I was a pilot classroom piloting out Google Apps for Education. For her to be able to participate in presentations and work with our group on assignments was extremely powerful. Okay. So I have highlighted some of the strengths and weaknesses of Google Forms, or even Google Apps in general. This applies to any component of Google Apps. If there are additional that you can that you think of and come up with, I do have my own personal website, which is shadiyazdon.com. Please, I put in the shortened link there for you. If there's anything else that I didn't include here, if you can share with me. Some of the downfalls that we have at the moment is that certain schools in York Region do have the Wi-Fi issue, and if you don't have Wi-Fi, you cannot use any of the Google tools. So that's one of the issues that we currently have. So that just makes it that much more difficult. So again, if you are not a Google Apps for Education board, it may become a bit of a challenge as well. Okay. And if you think of any additional ones that I didn't think of, please let me know. In the beginning, when you are creating your Google Forms, it will take some time to set it all up, but once you do it, it's breeze. You can use it over and over and over again. Okay, the tools that you need, as mentioned, active Wi-Fi. So if you are in parts of Ontario where internet connection is a challenge, it can be challenging using this tool. And again, I always say this, any device that you have, and I truly mean any device that you have that connects to the Wi-Fi, you can use to access any of the Google stuff. For those of you who are not Google Apps for Education board and like to try programs that do allow you to create surveys or assess, well, the survey leads you to creating assessment. The ones that I've highlighted for you include SurveyMonkey, Wufoo, and JotForms. I don't know if you've heard of these tools. They're available to you, and you can use them instead if you don't want to use Google Form, can't access Google Form for whatever reason maybe. Alternatives are available, but they have their limitations as well. Okay, so we are going to get started with our Google Forms. So to create our Google Forms, now I'm going through these instructions. I know we only have 90 minutes. If at any time you feel that I'm going too fast, please indicate to me either in the chat or put your hand up. In addition, don't worry about remembering everything. I've actually created a video that goes with this as well, and I will share that video with you guys in the resource page, so you can access that video later on, share with the staff, share with anyone that you want, and that way you can spread the wealth and spread the knowledge and support your colleagues with documentation of students' learning or assessment as well. So I'm going to give you guys some time to go into your Google Drive. The best way and the fastest way to get into your Drive is to, in Google search engine, just to type Google Drive, and it's going to ask you for your username and password, and then you're in. Okay, so once you are in your Drive, if you can show me a check mark that you are in your Google Drive. Just put a little check mark beside your name so I know that you're there. Perfect. Good, 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 good. Awesome. Superb. Okay, so it looks like almost all of you are there. Okay, so great. So once you're in your Drive, you know that you are in the new Google Drive if the tab indicates new. If you are in the older version of Google Drive, it's going to say create. But just look for the red button, either new or create. Once you're in new, click on more and then Google Forms. And once you are there, the first thing you want to do, and guys, I've learned this from experience, is you want to title your form, because I found that when you don't, you have no idea what these forms are about. Now, this observational assessment tool we're creating is for you. So you are not sharing this with students or anyone else. This is just for you, kind of like a checklist of look-fors that you're creating, so that as you are walking around the classroom and observing students working, whether it be in group or if they're doing a presentation, you can easily, either using your own mobile phone or a school computer or a tablet or an iPad, can assess what you see with the preset look-fors that you've created. So give it a title. This could be any title, whether this is an oral presentation, a news share, or book study, or if the kids are working in a particular, it could even be a presentation in math. So give it a title. For this purpose of tonight, you can, if you already have something you're assessing, give it that title, or just come up with any particular title. So once you click on the Untitled form, you give it a name, and you come to this page, to a page that looks similar to what you see on the screenshot. If you are in your, if you're a Google Apps for Education board, you're probably going to have a check mark that says to contain the form within your board. And that's already preset by your particular board. Just let it be, because this form is not really going to be shared outside. And as you're creating your form, you can constantly check on View Live Form. The arrow is pointing to it, and that way you can see how your form looks like, how the questions, how your form is going to flow, how you're going to be able to see it once it's all complete. Okay? So once you are on your form, the first question that you want to create is going to be your text type of question. So as you can see here, if you click on question type, you'll see a number of type of questions that you can create. Text is when you are only typing, let's say, name or school, like 1 or 2 word answers. Paragraph text is where you are going to need to write a whole paragraph. And that would be used for your comment section or your next step section. Multiple choice, it's just, you choose whatever the right answer is. Checkbox, you can check as many options as you want. So multiple choice gives you one choice of answers, whereas checkbox gives you plenty, as many that applies. Choose from the list, so you can create a whole bunch of items and just click on choose from the list and those items pop up. Scale could just be, so scale is what we could use if you wanted to scale something, whether agree or disagree, needs improvement, or achieving success, however which way you want to set that. We're not really going to do that tonight. We are going to focus on using the grid. The grid is going to allow you to create a rubric type question. And the date and time, really that's useful if you want to choose the date and time. But I see that being used if you're doing parent interview and you want them to choose a particular date or time, however which way you want to set that up. Okay? So now I'm going to go into the next slide. So the first question that we are going to create, so I created I named my Google form News Share Presentation. So this was from my class, where every week my kids had to do a presentation about something that was that they heard about in the news, and then they had to articulate why that particular news was newsworthy and what it meant to them as part of, as global citizens. How did it affect them? So the way I went about assessing them is in the first part of the question title, that's where you want to put the student name. Because if you don't name who's doing the presentation, then you will, when you get your assessments, you're not going to know who you assessed. And I'm speaking from experience. The first time I created my Google Forms, I was like, uh-oh, I don't know who I assessed, because I forgot to write the kids' names. So the first question you want to create is a student's name. That is going to be a text type of question, and you are going to check on the box that says required question. Yes, question. Someone has a question. Beatrice? Hi, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear
yes.
me? Okay, perfect. So my question is, what if it's like an observation where I want to use something for all my students? Do I have to input each student's name in the question title?
So this is, the way we're setting it up is for individual students. You can, if you just want to observe all of your students, then don't worry about student name.
Okay, so is there a way to do it so that you have a form that you can assess multiple students?
You can put group, instead of, where it says question title, you can put group name or group of students. And then when you have to input the response, you put a couple of kids' names as opposed to just one kid's name.
Okay. Okay, but is there an option to just do individual within the form, or is that too cumbersome?
It depends how you set it up. You can set it up as, you can even write in the question title individual student and put individual student name, or you can say group of students and put group of students' names. It depends on how you want to set it up.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so this again is a question type, and it is a required question. That means that if you don't answer this question, you can submit your form. And I suggest that because sometimes in the class when you're in a rush, you forget to put a student's name. I like this because it forces me to put the name of my students. Now when you're finished, click on Done, and you will actually see how your question is going to look like. So I'm going to give you guys some time to do that. Okay. So once you guys have done that, now we are going to go to actually the look for. So think of this as your rubric. So this is the rubric page. The first question asks you about the question title. You really don't need to put anything there, but if you want to, you can put in the title or what you're actually assessing. Is it an oral presentation? Is it whatever it is, reading, is it writing, is it a math presentation, whatever it is, you can actually put what it is that you're assessing. You don't have to if you don't want to, because sometimes the title you give to your form already indicates what you're assessing. The question type here is going to be a grid. Now, you have rows and columns. Your row, it all really depends how you want the form to look. But the column is where I would put level 1, 2, 3, 4, or if you use percentage, I would put percentages, or if you put A, B, C, D, depends on how you want to assess the students. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys some time to put something on for label. So for example, this is just a basic oral presentation. So my first row is going to be, I'm going to be assessing body language. Now you can put a bracket and put a description of what that looks like if you wanted to. And then the second one would be voice content, and as I mentioned, the column is going to be how you're actually grading it. Again, whether it's label, percentage, or grade. So I'm going to give you guys some time to play around with that.
I'm just going to jump in a second while people are playing there so I can speak more directly to Doris. Okay, Doris, so you are actually looking at the form you're creating, I think. Is that correct?
Maybe.
Okay, and that's okay. That's good too. If you want to get back to the slide to see where Shadi is at, you're just going to go down to your dock or your row of apps that are open and click on the purple circle at the bottom of your screen.
Sorry, I don't see a purple circle.
Okay, so where you would normally go to see what different programs you have open? Or are you on a Mac or a PC?
I'm on a Mac.
You're on a Mac.
Okay,
so
and where are you?
If I go back to the next, previous tab, wait a minute, maybe that will take me back there. Maybe not.
If you can just describe to me what you see, I might be able to.
I called it patterning unit, so I've got that at the top, and then it has edit question, change theme, view response, and view live form. Then I have form settings, and I have page 1 of 1 is patterning unit, and then it has student's name, add item.
Okay.
But I don't have the page you're showing me.
Okay, so I think, Doris, we want to get you back to the...
Yeah, so do you see this page right now?
No, I don't have the untitled form because I called it patterning unit.
Okay, so if it says, so here yours says patterning unit, mine says untitled form, but do you see all of this stuff? Do you see the question, title, help text?
No,
do you see any of that?
No, I see the page where it says require York Region District School Board login to view this form. So those.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you're not in your GAPS account.
I'm not.
No, because you know, just is it checked? Does it say required via DSP? Is it checked off or not?
Yes, it's checked.
Okay, and that's fine. You don't have to worry about that. Scroll down the page, and you should see question title, question type. You just have to click on the question type for that drop-down menu to appear.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No.
So can you describe again what you do see?
It kind of, no. I just see that there's 3 boxes. The first box says form settings, the second box says page 1 of 1, and the third box says confirmation page.
Okay, so can I have you just completely get out of forms and then go into your Drive again, and from Drive click on New and then go into Forms again, and let's open up a new one.
Okay, so if I go to Create and create a new one?
Yeah, go to Create and then click on Google Forms.
So it just says Form, is that the one?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so I've done that again.
Okay,
so
now
give
that a title.
Okay, I have this page now.
Okay. Are you okay, or can I change the slide?
I think I should call it again, do the same thing. So title.
Yeah, anything you'd like to call it.
Okay.
Yeah, anything that you like to call it.
Okay. And then I press no, sorry, you said to press, what kind of question did you want us to have?
The first one is going to be a text question.
Okay, it says text.
And then you're going to put in a student name.
Student name. Oh.
Yes, and then check on required question and then click on done.
Oh, you know what? I think for question title, I have patterning unit. I don't have student name, so I should put student name there?
Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry, everyone.
No, don't be sorry. No, this is, we're learning together. That's totally fine.
Okay, so I have student name, I have text, and then I'm pressing done? And required question, sorry, and then done.
Yes, yes,
okay.
You got it.
Okay, mine's called Untitled Form now.
Yes, and if you just click on the title where it says Untitled, it's called Untitled Form. If you just click on it, it'll enable you to be able to change the name.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
No problem. Okay. So are we all good with the grid? When you're finished, click on required question and then done. Can you guys just give me a green check mark to indicate you're all ready for next step? Yes, Karen. Karen, you have a question?
I think I'm back to where I was.
I think I lost someone.
Oh,
Okay, so I have 10 of you that are ready. I'll just give the rest of you a little bit more time, and then we will move on to the next part. Just like anything, any new learning, it can be a little bit frustrating in the beginning, but don't worry guys, we will work through it, and then there's a video that you can follow after as well. So not to worry at all, my friends. Okay. So we have a majority that are ready to roll, and I'm going to take you guys to the next step, my friends. And again, please don't feel bad if you're falling behind. There is a video that I will share with you guys, I promise. Okay. Once you are done, this is how it's going to look like with just the student name. So there you would put in the student name, the title of what you're assessing, whatever it may be. So now you see in one column you have body language, voice content, and the grading systems at the top. You don't have to do it this way. It can be reversed. You can do whatever works for you, my friends. Okay. Now if you click on add an item, you can actually add, the next item you're going to add is going to be the question title is going to be comment, and this is the question type is going to be paragraph text. You're not going to make this required because sometimes you may not have time to put in comments, or there's nothing really to write about. Sometimes there will be, sometimes there won't be. If you want to make it required, again, you can. But this way, your comment is there, so if there's any additional things that you want to remind yourself about what you saw the student do, you can do it in this area. And then once you're finished, you click done. The next question you do is exactly the same as this question, except the title this time is next steps, which is the wonderful part of this, because when you put in next steps, you jot in 1 or 2 words. And as I mentioned, as soon as you are done creating your Google form and assessing your students, you will have a list of, in a spreadsheet, a list of all the next steps. So the next day you can decide, well, where you're going to go in terms of the lesson or what you need to focus on. I used to take the next steps, especially when the kids were doing a presentation, and then I would graph that and show students and say, well, based on this graph, where do you guys think we need to go to improve our presentation skills? And they were very good at articulating. They knew right away. And it was great because they had more buy-in because they were more able to articulate and say, yeah, you know, as a class, this is our area of weakness. This is what we should focus on. And then I would bring it back to them and say, well, how are we going to do this? And they were always the ones coming up with the most creative ideas. And I would say, well, why didn't you guys do this before? And then we would go back and improve on our presentations or whatever it was that we were working on. Okay? So once you are done, this is how it's going to look like. You have student name. There's your little look for rubric and your comment section and your next steps. Okay? Now when you guys are finished, and it looks, I'm going to give you guys a few moments to get to this point. As soon as you get here, please indicate with the red check mark to me, the green check mark that you're here and you are seeing something similar to what I'm showing you, and then we can move on to the next part of our presentation. I feel like I should play like an elevator music as we're waiting. Okay, looks like most of you are almost there. Yes, James, it actually can be used for each of your students. I will go over that with you and show you how you can actually do that. Once we are done with the form, you can actually access the form on your tablet. So it's going to look like a little survey form, like the one that you see on the screen. You just walk around, watch what the kids are doing, click on the rubric section, put in your comments and your next step, done, submit. You go to the next student and the next and the next. So in a period, you can actually assess your whole class, which is what's really powerful about this. Karen, I really like how you said that you have the learning goals at the top of the form. I think that's brilliant. Thanks for sharing that. I know a few of my teachers do that as well. It's a really good guide for them. And you can also even show the students how to do something similar, and they can even share it with each other when they're doing group work. Great way for them to assess each other, peer assessment. Yes, you can put success criteria as well. There are tons that you can do with this, and you modify it and make it work for you. And that's the best thing about this. Okay, so once you are done, can you please scroll all the way down to the page, and you're going to see a section called Confirmation Page. You want to make sure that the tab indicating Show Link to Submit Another Response is checked. Because if that's not checked, you're going to have to go into your Drive, find the form. The great thing about this is as soon as you click on Send Form, it's going to generate for you the Google Spreadsheet where all your data is kept. In addition, when you actually get access to this assessment, when you finish assessing and you click Done, it's going to give you a link that you click on and you do the form again and again and again, and you can assess. So it's just going to make your life easier. So once you've checked out, most of the school boards, I know with the Google Apps for Education, this is actually the default. Okay, so I always say that if you're going to create a survey that you're going to share with parents, make sure that this check mark is ticked off so that parents can submit the same thing over and over and over again. That kind of affects your data. Okay. Any questions so far before we continue? Okay, good. Now, when you are finished, so I go back to the next slide. When you are done with your form, I want you to click on Send Form. As soon as you click on Send Form, you're going to see this. It's going to say, here's the link to share. Now, you can actually create this form. If you put an email address of anybody here, what that does is that the person that you've indicated their email address, they will be able to edit your form. Sometimes you want that. I used to put in my grade partner's name in every form that I created. We taught the same grade, and that way we had access, we could collaborate with each other on a particular form. The problem was that when it came to actually assessing our kids, I had to create my own copy of that form by clicking on File, Make a Copy, so that I didn't have her kids' data and she didn't have my kids' data. But we collaboratively created a form, our forms together. Now, if you click on the where at the top it says link to share, you can actually click on the short URL and Google will automatically shorten that for you. And then you can email that web address to yourself. So the next, when you go in, instead of you actually looking for the form in your Google Drive, the next day you can just go into the classroom, go into your email, click on the form. It's only one step, and you have the form at hand that you can use. And you can use it right on your phone as soon as you click on the link that you've emailed yourself. But there's another way to actually find your form as well, and I'll show you guys that as well. Once you do that, it's going to take you, so once you click on Send Form, it's going to take you to a page. If you have never created a Google form, you are going to be taken to a page that's going to say, mine says View Responses, and the arrow is indicating that. Yours, if you've never created a Google form, it's going to say Choose Destination. And as soon as it says that, click on it, and then a window is going to pop up and say, create a separate Google spreadsheet. You want to say yes. Whatever the default is, you want to say yes. Or so there's a green button, accept, proceed, something like that. You just say yes. Because I've already created a number of Google Forms, I couldn't go back to get that icon for you guys. I do apologize. But all you have to do is to click on Choose Destination, and then it will appear. Once you do that, a spreadsheet will be created for you. Any questions so far? So what I'd like you to do now is once you have clicked on Choose a Destination, I want you to go into copy that link, the link that I shared with you before, and I want you to open up a new window, paste that link, and actually do the form, like pretend like you're actually assessing students. Do a couple of them so that you have a couple of data, and just put in, like make up some names and put it in there, because I want you to actually see how it looks like in the spreadsheet. I'll give you guys some time to do that. Which instructions do you want me to repeat, Karen? Oh, what you guys are doing right now? So what you're doing right now is you are going to go to, I'll go back to the next slide. You're going to click on Send Form. When you click on Send Form, you are going to have a window like this appear. Once this window appears, click on where it says Link to Share. Click on that. Open a new tab in your computer, in your web browser, if you're using Chrome or Firefox or Safari. Open a new tab, paste this link into that new tab. Then you're going to see your actual survey. Pretend you're assessing students, give it a name, actually do few assessments, assess a few students. And once you do that, I want you to have some data to play around with. Does that answer your question, Karen? And please indicate to me if you have additional questions. This will make much more sense when you guys watch the video whenever you get the opportunity, because the video actually, as I'm explaining, so you can see it better than like frozen pictures on the screen. Oh, I'm glad, James. Well, let me know how it goes. Please share. I'm always interested to know different ways that teachers have decided to use this method. When you copied and pasted your link, you did not see the live version of the form. Did you post it into a new link? Yes, you can, Doris, you can actually go back to your form and click on Edit Questions. Do you see how on mine it says Edit Questions? I seem to have lost my little pointer. Don't know where that pointer is to show you guys. But on this, oh, there it is. Thank you. The Edit Question, click on that, and that'll let you go back and edit any of your questions.
And which one was the one that I put the student's name in it?
The first question that you created, the very first one. If I go back to the slide, if I go back, it was the very first question that we created. So the first question that we created was right beneath the title, the question title was student's name, and it was a text.
And it was a text. Okay, I did that.
Good job. Oops. Okay. So now go back to your Google form and refresh the page. And you can refresh the page. There's a little half circle right by where your web browser is, right at the top left-hand corner. It would be the second, let me see on my computer, 1, 2. You have the forward button, the backward button, and then you have the home button, and then you have almost a half circle, almost a full circle button. Click on that, and then at the responses, instead of the 0, you're going to see like 2 or 3 depending on how many times you did the form. Click on View Responses. Yay, I'm glad to read that you found some of the forms that you thought you lost. Perfect. Okay, so click on View Responses. I'm going to give you some time to do that just so that you can actually see some of the responses that you gathered. And if you click on Responses, and then click on Summary of Responses, all the stuff that you assessed based on grade, so that little rubric that we created, it's going to make it into a pie chart or a bar graph for you, which is excellent in giving you an overview of how the class is doing in general. It will actually be easier when you see the video and you can see the live demonstration. The great thing about the video is you can pause it, do your work, and then pause it and do your work. So not to worry if you feel that you're falling behind or you're feeling a bit confused. I do apologize, but with the video, it's going to make much more sense. Yes, I do wish all teachers had a full-time coaching support. How wonderful would that be? It's incredible that you guys are giving up your evening to go through this PD, and this is something that I wish majority of our parents knew, or people that are not in teaching and believe that our job is so easy. This is incredible. You guys are superstars. Okay, so if you have any questions right now based on what you're seeing, any feedback or anything like that, please turn on your mic and share before we go on to the next few slides. Just want to, hear how you guys are working through this, so everyone else can hear as well.
Do I go from this form, the grid that has all the things I just entered, do I just go back to the previous tab to enter more if I wanted to enter more?
If you want to, yes. Yes, and just play with the tabs on the top of your top of the screen. And if you're using Chrome, you want to make sure that you don't click on the back and forward button like we do with Explore. The reason why is that with Chrome, only the tabs at the top are kind of like your navigation bar that allow you to move between one to the other document.
Okay.
And that way you won't lose the actual form you're working on. And click on View Live Form. See how your form looks like. You can actually click on Change Theme if you want to make it pretty for yourself. You can do that too. I oftentimes find myself spending way too much time trying to make my form look pretty. It's very distracting. And Google keeps adding new designs. And on form, I don't know, some of you I'm sure are noticing at the top bar it says right beside where you have responses, tools, and add-ons. Google allows you to add other components to make your Google form that much more incredible. You can always try playing around with those and see what you discover. Yes, Fullbrew is incredible for grading quizzes, especially for our secondary teachers. And really great for quick little, pre-assessment, just to get to gather some ideas as to what the students know. You can create a quick little quiz using Google Forms and then send it out to the kids and then embed Fullbrew and have it graded for you. Karen shared that her grade 2 classes used QR code today and looked at photos to identify 2D shapes with her iPads. That is so adorable. So cute.
Shadi, I'm just going to interrupt for a second. I see that you would like some help navigating back to your pointer. So do you still see the little tool strip on at the edge of the whiteboard?
Yes, I do. I'm just looking for that hand point, the hand thingy. I don't know where it is.
Yes, so the hand one, it's the second choice down, and then you have to pop out and choose that from the
and then I have to hold it down, right?
That's right. You need to. That's right. You need to click on the screen in order to leave an imprint.
Okay, so now you guys can see it. Okay, I see it. Okay.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So as mentioned, you can edit your questions here, change themes, view responses, and whenever responses are provided to you, you'll see this number 0 change to however many. So you guys should have a few, and if you click on view responses, you're going to see the spreadsheet that I was mentioning. Guys, if you can just indicate to me with a check mark that you're ready to move on, that will be great. Okay. So it looks like majority of you are ready. Okay, the next slide. Okay, so now let's say you created your Google Forms, you forgot to copy the link, and you're just wondering where on earth did my Google Forms, like the assessment that I created, where did it go? If you go into your drive, you want to be in My Drive. If you scroll down, you're going to see two icons. One is going to look like this, and the other look like this. This is the survey that you created. If you click on that, you can always go in and edit your survey if you decide, you know, I want to add other look-fors. You can always do that. Now, all of your results, the responses, will all be displayed in a spreadsheet. And this is how you access your spreadsheet. If you click on it, if you guys can find it and click on it, you're actually going to be able to see the spreadsheet. So they're in two different places, but they're always back to back. One is called the name that you gave it. The other one, whatever the name was that you gave your document, plus in bracket will always say responses. This is not something we created. Google created that for us. Okay? So I'm going to give you some time to actually go find that in your drive. When you do, can you please indicate with a green check mark that you've actually found it in your drive? You guys are good. Look at you go. I'm going to have to call you guys Google Ninjas. How about I call you Assessment Ninjas, not Google Ninjas, because we can use any tool to do any of this.
Am I looking for something that says News Share Presentation, or am I looking for something called whatever I called it?
Whatever you call it. That's
okay.
Just the example that I created, so I called it News Share.
Okay.
Okay, so that's really good. We've got majority of people that found it. If you have not found it yet and you're not sure where to find it, please indicate in the chat and I will try to help you along with that. Okay. So we have actually created a Google form for assessment. I'm going to give you guys some time to go back, edit based on what you want it to look like for tomorrow. If there's something that you want to already assess right away, I'm going to give you that time. I wanted to make sure that I gave you guys enough time in this session to actually create something so you can use it as early as tomorrow. A couple of things that I wanted to point out to you guys is the observational assessment with the Google Forms. It looks like the link, I forgot to embed the link, and I'm going to just copy the link and paste it in the chat for you. In addition, I'm not sure how many of you have heard of Teach Ontario. If you have, can you please indicate to me if you have with a with a green checkbox? Okay, oh, quite a few. Teach Ontario is a platform, is an educational platform that was put together recently. It's still in its early stages by TVO. And the whole point of this platform is to connect educators across Ontario to work together, to collaborate with each other, to share resources with each other, and so on. Now, I created a discussion group in Teach Ontario that I titled Using Gaps for Assessment. Gaps is just Google Apps for Education. And I created discussion there. So if you want to continue the discussion, you can always do so. If you don't have you've never heard of Teach Ontario, you want to check it out, you want to know what it's all about, please go to teachontario.ca. And once you go there, you can actually request to get an account. You do have to use your board email to do so, and you have to be obviously working for a public school in Ontario and so on. So this would be our discussion group. Again, there are lots of resources, additional resources on my website. If you like to access that, leave me comments, suggestions, or anything like that. And there's always our growing success document that I highly suggest to use in setting up your Google Forms for assessment purposes, because there's some really wonderful guidelines in the growing success document that you can literally copy and paste into your Google form. Again, making your life easier. Now, when you finish assessing a number of your students in your class, the spreadsheet that I mentioned earlier is the one that you would go to, the one that ends in responses. I'll go back to it to show you guys. This one, this is the one that you would go to. This is the one that you can access for next step comments and so forth that you can copy and paste into your reporting program. What I used to do when I was in the classroom is I would create assessment per term that I was assessing the kids. So for progress reports, I had one set of assessment for term 1 and term 2, and I would call it T1, T2 progress report. And I organized it in that way in folders in Google Drive, so that when it came to report card purposes, I had all of my data that I could access right away, anytime, anywhere, no having to carry heavy loads of binders home. I even used the spreadsheet, the Google Spreadsheet, to keep all of my assessment data. Because we are using Google Apps for Education within our school board's domain, we are safe in terms of data sharing. I know that this is the case in York Region, but please double check if you are in another board to make sure that the data that you embed into Google Drive is completely safe, okay? Just to be on the safe side. I encourage our teachers in York Region to also use Google Drive as their USB stick to upload their lesson plans. They take pictures of what they see the kids do and they upload them right into the drive, because for us in York Region, it is said that it is a safe environment that all teachers can use. So again, please check with your particular school board, ICT, IT department to make sure that indeed your Google Apps is a safe area for you to store. Yes, DLRTs in York Region, people like me are called DLRTs, or short form douleurs. Yes, we do actually, you can book us to come into your classroom to co-teach and co-plan with you. That is our job. Our job is not to help with tech issues, but it is to co-plan, co-teach with you. Anything in terms of curriculum assessment, we do that for you. You just have to find who your area DLRT is. Do you know who it is in your area? What school are you at, Beatrice? Beatrice? Yes, so if you're in Central, Amy is your person. You can ask about anything. Maybe email them ahead of time to make sure that just email them ahead of time to let them know what you like to discuss, and they will direct you further. Yes. I think we have a question.
Yes, that's me, Shadi. I'm just wondering, I know that everyone's going to go and watch your video and go over that as they set up their forms and make sure they haven't missed anything and go over anything they aren't sure about. And I know in your video you touch on showing the summary of responses, and I wondered whether or not we do have a little bit of time if you'd like to let people know about that feature, and maybe they can go into their form and click on it and see what things look like.
Oh, summary of responses? You mean this, the view of the responses, or when we go into responses, summary of responses? When you go into responses and you click on it, you'll be able to click on your summary of responses. Is that what you meant?
Yes, where they can get the visual, where it shows the graph of all the data.
Okay, I will get that off the video, and then I will put it. Do you want
can
to
just talk about it. You don't have to go and grab it. I was just wondering if you wanted to
so the summary of responses. Okay, the summary of responses is a great way for you to just get an overview of the kind of data that you have, that you've gathered, and how your class is doing. Okay, so summary of responses is useful if you have data type questions, which for us in this case would be the grid that we created. Because what Google does, it takes that grid and makes it into a pie chart or a bar graph. So can I please have you click on responses, because you guys have a few responses that you gathered right now. When you click on responses, then click on summary of responses and see the little graph that Google generates for you. I'll give you guys some time to do that. Anyone have any questions? Okay, so I'm going to open it up to any questions that you guys have or anything that you want us to go over again. We can do that. I know some of you are asking about the video. I'm just going to find the link again and send it to you guys so you'll have access to it. There it is. Thank you. Thanks for sharing the video. Yes, you do. Just like any other tool, please don't feel like you have to know it right away. You do have to give yourself the time to play. And the more you play with it and the more you play with all the settings, the more you find a way that works best for you, and the quicker you will be at creating observational assessment tools for yourself as well. So don't feel pressured like, oh my God, I gotta know it all. You don't. Not possible. We tend to think as teachers we're super women or men, but we are only human. And you do the best that you can, one step at a time. But give yourself time to play.
Hi everybody, I'm just going to jump on here. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss anybody's questions in the chat about OTF Connects or accessing our resource page. So the recording from tonight's presentation, as well as the resources that Shadi has shared with you, will become part of a web page that we create specifically for this session, and you will get the follow-up email with the link to that, as well as we'll include in that email the link to the Teach Ontario discussion group that Shadi has set up very graciously. Thank you, Shadi. And now my dogs are barking. Hopefully you guys can't hear that. All right, any other questions up there? Okay, so what I'm going to do now, and if you're still playing with your Google Forms, that's okay. I'm going to advance to our last slide here and hand things over to Syria, who can wind us up, and then you guys can just ask any other questions that you have.
Thank you, Louise, and thank you so much, Shadi, for providing very clear instructions on how to create and use Google Forms for observational assessment tools. Hopefully everyone got a lot out of tonight's session so that you can apply it to your classroom practice. It sounds like there's a lot of excitement in the chat here tonight. Shadi, thank you also for creating the page on Teach Ontario. Hopefully this will keep you connected. In one of the comments, somebody was hoping that Shadi could be with them all the time to help them with the tools. So hopefully you can continue to collaborate through the Teach Ontario group that Shadi has provided. I'd like to thank each of you for giving of your time to participate in tonight's session, and please do take a few minutes to fill in the survey that gives us great feedback. We are in the process of setting up the program for the winter and spring, so if you feel more sessions on Google Forms, Google Classroom, Google Drive will be helpful to you, please let us know in your feedback so that we can include that in our planning and include that in the new program that will be available to you from January to June. Use the link at the bottom, left-hand corner there, to access other sessions that are coming up, and do share it with your colleagues. It's great to see new people in the session, and hopefully you can encourage some of your colleagues to join us in upcoming sessions. So thank you, Shadi, and thank you all for participating tonight. Have a wonderful evening, and drive safely wherever you're going tomorrow. I know it's quite blustery here in Ancaster, and I haven't ventured out today, so I hope you're all safe. Take good care. Good night.